Hey, how's it going? And today we're taking a quick look at stacks and not necessarily queues, but stacks in the verse programming language. The reason I'm doing this, there's a couple reasons, but the main reason is if you come onto the documentation where it says learn verse programming, and the first section is on stacks and queues. And to be completely honest with you, I find this to be very advanced as far as the verse programming language goes. This is some heady stuff, and I've spent a while trying to decipher it. I know once you're familiar with and understand the concept, it's easy. It all makes sense. But in the beginning, if this is all the documentation you have to go off of, it's kind of difficult. So I decided to take a look at stacks and see how far I could go with it and decipher it. Now, there's something interesting in verse language. It's in the dictionary. It's called contract with a genie. That's how I feel a lot with the verse language. It's supposed to be simple enough for a beginner to learn, but I find it very unforgiving, like the contract with the genie. You'll have to look it up in the dictionary to see what it means. But basically, it does exactly what it's told to do, no more and no less. And if something doesn't work, it's your fault for not explaining it to the genie right. So anyway, I'm here in Unreal Editor right now, and I've just got a verse device. This is all in the code. So let's take a look at this, and I'll be jumping back to the documentation. Well, let me just go over that first. They actually give you the complete code here. So what you need to do is come in here and copy all of this. I hate copying and pasting because I don't believe you learn that way, but there's all this. So that's good that this is out. And then there's one other line of code that you need in here, and it's this one here. So copy this line of code, and then all this code. And basically it creates a generic template that you can use. But there's a lot going on in here. So anyway, so let's go in and take a look at all this. So here it is right here, just all copied in. And it's up here underneath the module level. So there's the stack straight out of the documentation. Here's our create stack straight out of the documentation. And this just creates the basic mechanics of everything. And all we have to do is just tell it what data type we want to work with. So down here, I just have this, my creative device starts here. And this is the most important part right here. And this should work with a queue too. So here I'm creating a variable. I'm calling it my strings. And it's public. And it's set to stack. And here I identify the string type equals stack string type, and then I create they call that like the arc type, but I create it right here. I create an instance of this stack, and it's all instantiated up here and good to go. So I have this my strings here, and one of the problems I found with the documentation is it only shows how to work with an agent, and that's hard to test anything because you need a multiplayer setup to test that kind of functionality with an agent multiplayers. So I'm just using strings here because this is easy enough to follow. So what I have here, I just noticed one little thing here. So let's walk through this real slow. Okay, so on begins play, we're going to print begin. This is just so I can keep track of what's happening because I had to do some problem solving here. This stack has these 5 methods. Push basically adds something to the stack. Pop takes something off of the top. Size tells us how long it is. Is empty tells us if there's something in it or not. And peek, I thought that was misspelled, but I guess it is P-E-E-K. Gives us a look and shows us what the top element is. But you'll notice in all these methods, and this is verse, it has a decides function here. You'll see that decides, transacts, and so what that means is that we can only call these with if statements. So keep that in the back of your mind, because you'll see that's what I'm having to do to be able to access this. I'm having to call it within if statement. So anyway, we start here with print begin, and then we go if, and I go my strings, which is referencing my stack of the string type, and I'm asking is it empty. I'm calling this one, and I have to do the whole if statement and call it in brackets and all that, and give it something to evaluate. And so I'm calling this is empty right here. Succeeds if the stack is empty. So if it's empty, I'm going to print this string. If it's not empty, it's going to print this. So what would we expect to see so far in the code? We'd expect to see begin, and then there's nothing in it. I haven't pushed anything onto the stack, so I expect to see the stack is empty. This part was a little tricky to me, but here we reference our stack, my strings, and we have to do push. And because it's a string type, I'm just putting in the names of 4 video games. And what we have to do is we have to set it. So it's going to return, and then we're going to set. If we don't put this in there, nothing will happen. We have to reset our strings is what I found out. I thought if I just did this would be enough to do it, but it wasn't enough. I think we have to update the string value. So then this should push 4 objects onto the stack. In some ways it seems like the stack is kind of inefficient, and the analogy that they use is like it's like pancakes. So Minecraft would be the bottom pancake, and then this is the second, the third, and the fourth pancake. And to get to this, back to the Minecraft, I'd have to take all these off the stack to get to this one. So they said it's good for backtracking if you need that kind of functionality. Maybe something to do with AI and you want to do backtracking. The stack might be good. But in a lot of places it doesn't seem like it'd be that efficient because you'd have to take all of this stuff off just to get to this one. So it literally is like a stack of blocks or something, and to get to the bottom one you got to take the top ones off. So here we do another call, and peek will tell us which item is on the top of the stack. So here we'd expect to see that Fortnite is on the top of the stack. And again, we have to call it in a failable expression with the brackets, something that can be evaluated. And then we just say, I just print out a string. The top of the stack this should say Fortnite, because it's the top. Now this one was trickier for me, because this, if we look up here and read what pop does, it says it removes the element on top of the stack and returns a tuple of both a new stack with the top element removed and the removed element. I'm not sure why they're sending the removed element back, but it's a tuple, right? So it's a stack and the removed element. And so that was a little problematic for me, but knowing this isn't returning just the stack, it's returning 2 things. So I call this return tuple. And then with a tuple, we can access it like an array. So what I want is, I want the stack, I don't want the removed element, so I'm telling it, get that first element, which is the stack. So then I'm setting that to new stack. Once I have new stack set, then I can reset my stack, my string stack here. This is a little tricky. So what we've done is we've taken an item off the top, and we don't need to specify which item because it's always going to take it off the top. And here we'll ask it to get the size. So that's one of the built-in functions. We don't need to call this anything with anything special. So this should return the number 3. And then we're going to peek to see what's on the top, and what's on the top now should be Unreal because we took off Fortnite. At the very end, I just checked to see if it's empty, and of course it's not because there's 3 things in here. So what should we expect to see when this code runs? We should expect to see begins, the stack is empty, the top of the stack should be Fortnite, the stack size should now be 3 because we popped off Fortnite, the top of the stack should now be Unreal, the stack is not empty, and end. And that's what we should expect to see. So anyway, I don't see any errors right now. So let's jump in here and build our verse code. I'm going to end the game. And we'll just push those changes and see if we see what we expect to see. So here we go. This is all in the upper left corner. So begin, the stack is empty, the top of the stack is Fortnite, the stack size is now 3, the top of the stack is Unreal, the stack is not empty, end. So anyway, that is a stack. Now the good thing about this is once you know how this works, the stack, then it's really easy to figure out the queue. So anyway, I hope you found this helpful. Take care, have a great day, and I'll talk to you next time.